I tell people all the time that, we try to practice, civics 101 on this show. And, this is a perfect example right here why, when we're talking about the Black agenda, we're talking about things that we should care about, we've got to be thinking much broader than some folks to understand that there is nothing, and let me say it again, there is nothing in our society that we deal with that you're not going to be going through a court system. Here you had Peter just talking about how the law was modified by policymakers, but it is going to be interpreted by judicial either appointees or folks who are on the state or local level who have been elected. And so when we're talking about Black agenda, when we're talking about how do we move forward, we have got to be thinking about the American court system as a part of this. Otherwise, we can elect whoever we want on the policy side, but those laws can be invalidated on the judicial side.
That's 100% right. And Roland, I would say your point as it relates to judges mattering has not been more salient than in this exact context, because I don't practice immigration law, but I have a colleague in my building who does. And it's my understanding that immigration judges have the widest latitude of any judges on any bench. They can decide basically whatever they want to do. They don't have to necessarily follow precedent. They don't have to follow the same procedure in every case. They have wide latitude. So in a case like this, it's heinous, obviously, because he was a minor when he came here. There was a belief that his father had citizenship. The law changed, and then it doesn't apply retroactively. So just logically, you would think he should have a grace period to remedy that. But the problem is the judge here can look at his convictions or whatever else and allow that to overrule in his or her decision. So judges don't matter arguably more than anywhere else in the immigration context. And as it goes to the Black agenda, anybody who is coming from an African country or from the Caribbean or anywhere that is Black, phenotypically Black, this is something they absolutely need to be concerned about. Because if you get caught in this immigration lurch, these judges can do whatever they want. So that's why it's important for us to have a president who's appointing people who actually care about our issues and care about doing the right thing. Because here, this brother should be given citizenship. This is an absurd outcome.
And of course, Michael, you got the folks, you got KC, Get Money 07. The Black agenda has nothing to do with immigration, though. You got somebody saying Hank Hinton, immigration doesn't benefit Black Americans. Oh, but if you marry an immigrant, it's going to be a problem. See that again, no, that's why. And see, again, the folks who are commenting who don't pay attention to what I'm talking about, judges don't rule on narrow things. Federal judges have wide latitude in terms of what they decide on. State judges matter. We discussed this week the voting cases in Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, all went up to the state Supreme Court. Wisconsin went up to the state Supreme Court. And so I'm just trying to get people to understand, you can sit here and talk and tweet and post on YouTube and Facebook all you want about the Black agenda. But if you do not add the judicial component to the Black agenda, then you don't understand. In fact, check this out. 4 years ago, when we were in Texas, it was 2018. Y'all might remember when 18 Black women ran for judicial positions in Harris County, okay? In Harris County. Yep. They ran. They all won. This year, because they're trying to get me to come to Houston for a luncheon on Sunday, I don't think I can get there. You got listen to me, y'all. All y'all folk who keep smacking your gums, who know nothing about public policy and the law. There are 9 former county prosecutors who are running against those sisters to take them out.
Right.
Because they understand what it means to have Black judges now in positions of power, and they're making the argument we need to get rid of these, quote, woke judges. The right
Yeah,
understands the power of judges.
they understand the power of judges, U.S. Supreme Court, federal court. They understand the power of judges, absolutely. The judicial branch of government interprets law from the legislative branch of government. So people have to understand it's one thing to pass laws to get what you want, but you got to have judges that are going to help you keep what you got, because it can be struck down. That law that benefited you can be overturned in the judicial branch of the federal government. Okay, this is one of the reasons why federal judges and U.S. Supreme Court judges are so important. And these are lifetime appointments. This is why in 2016, the presidential election in 2016, one of Trump's platforms was federal judges and Supreme Court judges. And this is what a lot of people who ended up voting for Trump, who for some people, he wasn't their first, second, third, fourth, or fifth choice. But they said this is about the courts. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people don't understand. I understand, we want policies that benefit us, things like this, but you got to be able to keep it when it gets challenged in court, which it will. All you have to do is look at the $4 billion in debt in debt forgiveness for African American farmers, Latino farmers, and Native American farmers. That's tied up in court right now. 11 white farmers have filed lawsuits, and that's tied up in court right now. So, and it's something else important to understand. Depending upon where you live in this country, you may not encounter a lot of black immigrants. But if you in like New York, okay, because I can tell you, first time I went to Brooklyn, I thought I was at the United Nations. I saw all these different, because they drive around in their cars, they have the flags of where they're from. And I remember seeing brothers come towards me, and I go to speak to them, they're speaking Spanish. It blew my mind. That was their natural language, Spanish. So if you don't experience that, if you haven't been to those areas of the country where you have a lot of black immigrants, you may think this don't benefit us or impacts us. Well, for many of us, it does. Especially if you have family members, you marry into families, you have friends, things like this. And the last thing is, the black immigrants are the ones to get deported first, even if they're here legally.
Now, Cleo, I had to come back to the other desk here. Check out this post here. Judge elections tend to be very sleepy, but not in Texas next week. Prosecutors, with the help of the police union, are running to oust incumbent judges who helped bring bail reform in the Democratic primary. And so you'll see this article here. It says judicial elections test profound cultural shift in Houston. And so all the folk, Cleo, I'm going back to the other position, all the folk who were yelling about the black agenda, well, guess what? Bail reform is one of the major issues we saw in 2020 and 2018. We elected judges talking about bail reform. Now you have, y'all listen, police unions putting their money and resources behind county prosecutors who are running against these incumbent judges to change the very thing you fought for. So for all y'all sitting your asses at home saying, Roland, why are you spending all this time talking about judges? Because you can't talk about a black agenda and leave out the courts.
Roland, just like you, I set up when Trump was president and watched him orchestrate putting judges in places on all level of judgeship all over the country to make sure that white supremacist perspectives were always in the House and always in a judicial judgment position for years. I watched that. And a lot of black people watch that and understand what you're saying in terms of seeing the practice. One of the things that we deal with, and I think we should deal with it in a rational, problem-solving way, is black people have trust issues. For example, one of the reasons why there's been a slow uptake of black people running to get COVID-19 tests is not because black people are stupid, et cetera, these other kind of things. Black people have, from a DNA level, distrust of the system. Now they need to understand the system so they can work the system and be able to manipulate it instead of just sitting paralyzed, not liking it from a distance and doing nothing. Because I certainly don't respond to the whole thing like that. I use the system, I engage the system, I make sure I'm literate about the system, including policy and law. But I understand behavior because that's where I live, and that's what makes a difference to me. And I engage Black distrust, not as something that's stupid, and I'm not saying that you're saying that Black distrust is stupid. I'm saying that it could be implied.
No, what I'm saying is, if your ass can't read, if you refuse to read, if you refuse to listen, if you refuse to actually have critical analysis, yeah, your ass stupid. Sometimes you gotta call this shit what it is, bro. And there's some people who are commenting who don't know what the hell they talking about. They ain't read a damn thing. They ain't studied nothing. They quote, so-and-so I heard say this. Then you ask them where they quoted from. I don't know. I just heard so-and-so say it. Well, damn, dog.
Well, I'm not reading the comments. My perspective.
No. I ain't talking about, but guess what? Folk commenting exists.
Of course they're commenting. But I'm talking about cause and effect here and why there's apprehension, for example.
And I'm talking about cause and effect. The people who are commenting, who are driving misinformation, are impacting other people who don't know.
And
that's a major issue.
And people who don't acknowledge Black trauma and Black distrust in ways that can engage it, put it in perspective, and get people to navigate past it to do some of the things that you're suggesting, that's problematic too. Because people are not intentionally, quote unquote, stupid. People have their defenses up.
No, Cleo. It's some intentional dumbass people.
Well, that exists too on all sides.
But we ain't talking all sides.
That exists but when the Republican parties are dumb, they still have power.
Well, guess what?
They're still organizing to stay in power.
And I'm talking about Black people. I'm talking about Black people.
I'm contrasting strategy here and perspective.
What I'm saying is,
what drives people to do what they do and don't do.
And what I'm saying is, our responsibility is to drive real information, as opposed to allowing the folk who don't know nothing, who can't break down nothing, sitting here and smack their gums. Because here's what look, we all know a lie travels faster than the truth, which is why, from my vantage point, you got to cut the lie off at the root.
But you also got to deal with attitude and behavior and cause and effect, and why people think the way they think and do what they do, so we can resolve it and engage it and get people to get past their paralysis.
Michael.
Paralysis, so-called stupidity and behavioral paralysis is not a choice. It is the outcome of consequences unresolved and improperly addressed.
Michael, go ahead.
And Black people have been improperly addressed almost all the time in this country when it comes to most issues, even to how to get Black people prepared and thoughtful about voting for judges and taking power in their local communities. When I was where was Michael Brown murdered? That city?
St. Louis.
Ferguson. When I was in Ferguson, I asked those people, I said, you're the majority. You can choose who you want to be in civic responsibility and be the police chief. You can make sure that it's not a white supremacist who's running your life and killing people like they did Mike Brown. And in so many cases, they were like, me, power? Me, making a difference? Yeah, you are numerically the majority. You could make all kinds of things happen. Well, the first thing I had to teach them was that they were worthy of being in power, and that they were valuable enough to run things, and that they were not inferior. Because I ran into all kinds of people with inferiority complexes, irrational inferiority complex, because this society on a normal basis implies on a regular basis that Black people are inferior to white people and everybody else.
Mike?
And we're not resolving.
I got you. Hold on. Michael, get in. Go ahead.
No, I just want to interject something quickly here. And what Dr. Cleo Monago is talking about, I agree with. Something very specific that he said. He talked about African Americans' behavior being influenced by their trauma, okay, and having trust issues, okay. So I can totally understand that. That's a specific group of people. There's another group of people that purposely put out misinformation to prey on African Americans who have trust issues. and take advantage of. Okay, so I totally understand what you're saying, Cleo, and I agree with that. And I think we have to deal with both of those. We have to deal with both issues.
Well, the thing here, hold on, wait. But the thing here, Matt, which is vital, and again, and I'm gonna keep coming back to it over and over again. We have finally seen the impact of people understanding district attorney positions. Hold up. That DA, if I'm talking mass incarceration, that DA is in a critical position. Now people are understanding that. And so what I'm saying is the education has to go even further to say you better recognize these judicial positions, because how they rule, you can have the greatest lawyer, but if a judge ruled differently, it don't even matter. You can bring Johnny Cochran back. You can have 20 Johnny Cochrans, but if you ain't got the right judge, it does not matter.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I got a case dismissed today because the judge likes me, if we're honest. Another judge may not have gone that same route, but literally today, what you're saying played out. But I think both Brother Michael and Dr. Cleo have said things that we need to make sure we understand are not mutually exclusive. I think his point about Black distrust is a brilliant one, because he's 100% right. We need to empower the people to have the knowledge to understand how the system works, but we also need to give them grace to understand that they're not necessarily going to readily take everything that's presented to them because of the history of trauma in this country. We have a duty to be informed, but we also have to come from that trauma-informed background to understand how most effectively to move forward. So I think it's a dual thing. It's not mutually exclusive.
Back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A Black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?